Hello, nerds. Thank you for watching Generally Nerdy. This is your Weekend Nerdom Movies edition for the week of October 15th, 2018. This week in movies, this is actually our biggest episode this week. And we've got update on Kraven the Hunter, update on Morbius the Living Vampire, update on World War Z 2, really big update on World War Z 2. So much other stuff is going on. Let's jump into that intro real quick.
Quiet on the set, rolling.
Hi, I am Bitsy Telek.
Hey, I'm Hale Appleman.
I'm Walter Kane.
I'm Rene Aubergenois. Odo on Deep Space Nine.
Michael Dorn, Lieutenant Commander of War, Star Trek The Next Generation.
Come and see me and hear me and talk to me and listen to me talk about myself.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, often considered generally nerdy, and you are listening to what is often considered generally nerdy.
On Generally Nerdy.
You're listening to
Generally Nerdy.
Generally Nerdy.
Generally nerdy.
First, I really shouldn't care about this, but it's just such a train wreck news. The Rock is teaming up with the director from Jumanji, what's his name, Jake Kasdan, to do what seems to be their version of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It's called John Henry and the Statesmen. And yeah, that's about as much as we really know right now. It's kind of like a weird League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, just without the superhero kind of tie-in, or the comic book tie-in rather. With everything The Rock has done in the last 5 years, I'm just really interested to see what happens, because it's gonna be so bad. It's just gonna be so bad. Yeah, I had to share that because I'm not excited, not looking forward to it, aside from the anthropological, who's gonna go see this movie kind of element to that, but we're moving on because that's gonna just hurt our brains if we talk too much in depth about it. Our actual first bit of real news that we should care about is Kraven the Hunter. So, screenwriter Richard Wenk, that's W-E-N-K, not A-N-K, did an interview with Discussing Film, which I believe is a podcast, where he says a couple of really interesting things about Kraven the Hunter, the movie that he wrote the script for, that Sony is trying to make because they are really jumping into this Spider-Man-less universe. He said first that he tried to adhere to the going to adhere, this is the direct quote, going to adhere very closely to the lore of Kraven the Hunter. So he is at least aware of his source material. Whether or not that statement is accurate, that he's going to adhere closely to the mythology, is really, really up in the air, because so far no Hollywood screenwriter has been able to do that very well without the help of somebody who either it's their passion, i.e. Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool, or already has written the comic books, which is what we kind of sort of have gotten for some of those X-Men movies. More recently, anyway. But even that's not a guarantee, because John's had something to do with Batman v Superman, and that was a train wreck. So, hopefully he did actually read the comic books and he's familiar with the character. Not that it's a huge Spider-Man villain, but there is a pretty significant tie-in to Spider-Man. So next, he said that there will be a face-to-face with Spider-Man. Now, what does that mean? It could mean a plethora of things. The most likely of which, I feel like, is some sort of post-credit or towards the end of the movie, face-to-face with Spider-Man. A real quick walk-on cameo from Tom Holland, something along those lines. I doubt that Kraven will be fighting Spider-Man as the movie progresses. I would imagine it's going to be just a, hey look, this is in the Spider-Man universe kind of thing. And by and large, it's going to be Kraven, I really don't know, fighting other villains perhaps? It's just so weird. And then he said he didn't actually explicitly say it this way, but he very heavily implies that the movie is going to deal with the subject matter of Kraven's Last Hunt, which is the book, the story arc in which Kraven dies. I doubt they're going to kill Kraven, because they're trying to make a universe, right? So if they want to do sequels to this, then they can't kill their main character. They have to build this character up in order to go forward with sequels. So I really don't know how that's gonna play with this whole Hollywood screwing things up thing. And also part of the statement where he implies that, he also says that there could be the story arc that they want to do could potentially take 2 movies to do. So maybe they will. My money says if they do get into, because for those of you that don't know, spoiler alert for friggin' 15-year-old comic book, Kraven the Hunter kills himself at the end of Kraven's Last Stand. Or Kraven's Last Hunt, rather. So, potentially they'll get something close to him, like maybe he's attempting the suicide and that's the face-to-face he gets with Spider-Man. Spider-Man saves him, everybody gets one, you know, that thing. That's not likely. But there's something will intervene and he won't actually kill himself because, you know, reasons. I don't think that he knows the weight of the words he's using in this interview. But it is interesting to think about. Well, maybe this will just be the larger purpose of this movie and or movies will be to be kind of a universe building so that we see, oh, this is the Manhattan that they live in, and there's Sable, and there's Black Cat, and there's Morbius, who we're going to talk about in a minute. And we see all of these things, so this will tie a lot of stuff together. But I doubt that even. I feel like after watching Venom, it's not likely that they're going to be very successful in this universe that they're trying to build over at Sony. But I'm interested to see how they kind of recover from... And Venom made a lot of money, so they've made their money back from Venom, so we know that they're going to continue making these movies in the hopes that eventually they'll get better. I feel like it was a very strange choice to choose to go with Kraven the Hunter, but that's a conversation we've already had, so let's move on. Next, again, is Morbius the Living Vampire. Producers Avi Arad and Matt Tolmach have stated that the movie is set to begin filming early next year, so sometime January, February-ish. They were super vague on the details. It sounds like more likely February into March, somewhere in that neighborhood. So sometime first 3 months of next year is what they're looking at as their start date. But there's still no official script that's done, no casting announcements. There's a lot of ground that they have to cover between now and then. But it will be highly interesting to see what happens. That's all we've got for that, though. Moving into literary adaptations in the movies. World War Z 2. We've talked about it before, just because it's kind of... It wasn't... The first movie wasn't horrible. It was actually enjoyable to an extent. If you were expecting the book to any degree going into that movie, then A, you don't know how Hollywood works, and B, you were very disappointed. But if you were just looking for a pretty good zombie movie with Brad Pitt as the star, then you got exactly what you were looking for. It was pretty good. It was better than mediocre. It wasn't bad, but it definitely wasn't a great zombie movie. Well, it was just announced that David freaking Fincher is going to be directing World War Z 2. That's right, the dude who did Seven and Fight Club and so many other good movies. One of the last and or best, depending on your point of view, auteurs in Hollywood. I'm so excited about this. So, David Fincher is going to direct all of that about it not being a great zombie movie, now with the announcement of this director, very potentially is going to make the sequel not only better than the first movie, but one of the best, at least cinematically. I don't know that they're going to ever be able to get close to the experience that you get when you read the book, because that's very difficult to film the way the book is laid out. It's an oral history of the zombie apocalypse, told from like 6 or 8 different points of view, something like that. That's, again, very, very difficult to make cinematically interesting. But Fincher's eye for cinema, there is definitely going to be something worth seeing in this movie. If it's just to go see it for the cinematics, then that is absolutely why you're going to go see it. As the details work their way out, we will definitely be talking about them. Hopefully, my hope is we get some early leaked footage and potentially a leaked script once it's done. We still don't have a script, we just have a director. He's very likely going to have his hand in the script because that's how that works, but we don't know until it happens. That's just a fantastic announcement. David Fincher directing a genre film. Like, yeah, he did Seven, which is a genre film, but it's more of a mainstream genre film, whereas this is going to be a horror film, which is pretty new territory for Fincher. So yeah, just please let this happen fast. Well, not too fast because we want it to be good still, but oh, I'm so excited. And we're moving on. Next up on the list is the official announcement about Suicide Squad 2. We've talked about the rumor, and now it has officially been announced from DC. James Gunn is going to be writing, at the very least, the script for Suicide Squad 2, and potentially is going to be directing the movie. So Bautista from Guardians of the Galaxy is now campaigning to be in Suicide Squad 2 somehow because he just loves James Gunn so much, and whatever, maybe he's a funny dude, I don't know. I know his brother's a funny dude, but that's neither here nor there. But this also means that there is potential trouble in the future for Jared Leto's Joker. We know that the Joker and Harley movie is going to happen whether we want it to or not. And we also know that Suicide Squad 2 is going to happen whether we want it to or not. But Leto and James Gunn do not get along. James Gunn, matter of fact, very recently has gone so far as to accuse Jared Leto of being a pedophile after Gunn went through his own crazy accusations of being a pedophile. Did you not learn anything? Whatever. That's not, again, that's whatever it is. It's just out there now, and yeah. But so there's a lot of tension outside of work between these two. They just don't like each other, and now very potentially they're going to have to work together. And Leto said before this announcement happened that if that was the case, if James Gunn was going to direct the movie, he didn't say if he was going to write the movie because that would limit their interactions, but if he's going to direct the movie, which means that would make James Gunn Jared Leto's boss, then he was going to quit. He was going to find a way out of his contract. And now, I wasn't the biggest fan of Jared Leto as the Joker. We know this. This is a conversation we've had at least twice before on this channel, and once before on an older channel. Now, part of, I feel like, that was his really strange choices as Joker. I feel like because he's pretty method, right? Leto, I mean, got so much into the character when they were doing the first Suicide Squad movie. He sent used condoms to the entire cast and dead rats and all of these things. We've all heard the stories, right? So if he's that method and he hates his director, that could actually be a recipe for a watchable Joker from Jared Leto. That very potentially will feed us exactly what we were expecting of a good performance from Jared Leto the first time. So I hope James Gunn, because I totally dig those Guardians movies. James Gunn has very capable hands, regardless of what you think about his personal life. That's irrelevant to whether or not he can work, and he does work very well, as we've seen a number of times. So I hope Gunn gets the director's seat, and Leto can't find a way out of his contract so that he... And that very well could backfire. I totally understand that if he hates his director and he can't get out of his contract, he'll just deliver a subpar performance. But I also feel like Leto's ego is such that he wouldn't let himself do that. If he's going to be in a movie, even if it's a bad movie, see the Mr. No One or whatever that Netflix movie was, he's still going to give a very compelling performance. So that tension between actor and director very likely will give us a very cool Joker performance. And I want that to happen. I really, really do. Really, really do. But that's all we've got with Suicide Squad. Our last bit of news has to do with the Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. This is, before we get into the announcement though, real quick reminder, I did get asked to do a review for the second movie, Crimes of Grindelwald, which will be out next month. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be over on the Big Show Entertainment Network. Link, again, will be down in the description. But yeah. The announcement is about Fantastic Beasts 3. Johnny Depp did an interview with Collider this week, and he says in that interview that he anticipates filming for the third movie will begin next year. Which means Rowling is working on, or Rowling, however you say her name, is already close enough to a third script being completed that they can start making those plans. That's pretty exciting, considering how good the first movie was, and very potentially how good this next movie is going to be. I really hope that they don't squander all of that potential, because the direct plot, the main focus of that first movie, wasn't exactly something out of this world. But all of the subplots and all of the subtle other things and the overarching implications and all of that is what made that movie so fantastic. And the fantastic acting just across the board was Eddie Redmayne blows me away. I love that dude. Yeah, so 3 is already this close to filming. That's phenomenal. And that is where we're ending this week's episode, guys. What did I miss? What should we talk about next week? Let me know in the comments down low. If, though, you want to go deeper into the conversation, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net. That is the place that you can go find all of the social media links, all of the freebies, all of the store links so you can get your nerdy swag. All of that is up on generallynerdy.net. Or there's also a Patreon, patreon.com/generallynerdy. That is the place that you can go support the channel a little more directly. 4 tiers. The lowest tier is just $1, and unlike other channels, I give you more stuff for that $1 instead of just saying, hey, thanks for your $1. Now you get all of the stuff that everybody always gets anyway. You get more content for just $1 a month, so go check that out. Generally Nerdy on Patreon is patreon.com/generallynerdy. If you're new to this channel though, click the subscribe button. If you like the episode, click the like button. If you're falling behind in your nerd news and you want to catch up, click or tap that box right there to the left of my face to do that. But before we go, guys, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.